Weddings. They're supposed to be magical, right? A day filled with love, laughter, and maybe a few happy tears. Well, my cousin's wedding, let's just say it was definitely memorable. Picture this: a beautiful summer day, birds chirping, flowers blooming. It was the perfect backdrop for a disaster. Just kidding. Kind of. Let me tell you, this wedding had it all: wardrobe malfunctions, awkward encounters, and enough laughter to fuel a stand-up comedy special. My cousin, bless her heart, is as clumsy as they come, and her now husband, he's just along for the ride. So buckle up, Buttercup, because I'm about to take you on a wild ride through the most hilarious wedding day ever. It all started with the invitation, or should I say the lack thereof. See, I was so excited for my cousin's big day, I even bought a new dress. But weeks went by and still no invitation. I started to think maybe they'd eloped. Finally, just 2 weeks before the wedding, it arrived. A crumpled envelope, addressed in my aunt's shaky handwriting. It looked like a pigeon had been using it for target practice. Inside, the RSVP date had long passed. It was like they expected me to be psychic. I frantically called my cousin, who, between fits of laughter, explained that they'd sent it to my old address. Oops, she giggled. Oops indeed. The wedding chaos had officially begun. Now finding a wedding gift at the last minute, talk about stressful. I raced to the department store, my mind spinning. Towels, too boring. A blender, too predictable. Then I saw it, a giant ceramic pineapple. It was perfect. Unique, quirky, just like my cousin. I triumphantly paid for the pineapple and rushed home feeling like I'd conquered Mount Everest. That's when I realized I had absolutely no idea how to wrap this monstrosity. After a solid hour of wrestling with wrapping paper and tape, I ended up with something that looked like a 5-year-old's art project. It's the thought that counts, I muttered to myself, loading the pineapple-shaped disaster into my car. Wedding day arrived and I was running late. Of course, it was supposed to be the happiest day of my life, but it started with a frantic rush. I rushed to my car, pineapple precariously balanced in the passenger seat, only to be greeted by the dreaded click, click, click of a dead battery. Are you kidding me? My heart sank as I realized the gravity of the situation. I yelled at the dashboard, as if my frustration could somehow bring the car back to life. But no, it just sat there, lifeless and unresponsive. The wedding was an hour away. Panic set in as I imagined the chaos that would ensue if I didn't make it on time. I frantically called my friend, a self-proclaimed car whisperer, who thankfully answered on the first ring. My voice was shaking as I explained the situation. My car's dead, the wedding's in an hour, and I have a giant ceramic pineapple. I blurted out, my words tumbling over each other in a rush. I shrieked into the phone, my anxiety reaching a fever pitch. What was I going to do? Calm down, he chuckled. I'm on my way. His calm demeanor was a stark contrast to my panic, and it helped to soothe my nerves, if only a little. He arrived in record time, his beat-up truck sputtering like a coffee maker on its last legs. The sight of his old truck was both a relief and a concern. We finally got my car going, my friend's laughter echoing in my ears. His humor was infectious, and I found myself laughing despite the stress. Next time, he called out, get a smaller fruit. His parting advice was both ridiculous and endearing, a reminder that even in the midst of chaos, there's always room for a little humor. Section 5. A friend in need, a loud car indeed. We sped off, my friend's truck roaring like a dinosaur with a toothache. The engine's growl was so loud it felt like it was shaking the very ground beneath us. Every bump in the road seemed to amplify the noise, making it impossible to have a conversation without shouting. Sorry about the noise, he shouted over the engine's roar. My muffler's on vacation. Great, just great. I couldn't help but laugh at the absurdity of the situation. Here we were trying to make it to a wedding, and it felt like we were in the middle of a demolition derby. I was now the person showing up late to a wedding in a vehicle that sounded like a monster truck rally. The looks we got as we pulled up were a mix of amusement and annoyance. I could see the bride's mother glaring at us from the entrance, her perfectly coiffed hair trembling with indignation. We pulled into the wedding venue, the truck backfiring one last time for good measure. Heads turned, eyebrows raised. It was as if we had announced our arrival with a cannon blast. I could feel my face turning red with embarrassment. Just act natural, I whispered to myself, grabbing the pineapple and making a run for it. The pineapple was a gift, a quirky tradition in our friend group, but in that moment, it felt like a beacon drawing even more attention to my awkward entrance. I could feel eyes following me as I stumbled toward the ceremony, pineapple threatening to topple over with every step. Each step felt like a mile, and I was hyper-aware of every whisper and giggle from the guests. This was not how I pictured my grand entrance. I had imagined slipping in quietly, blending into the crowd, but instead, I was the center of an unintentional spectacle. But hey, at least I was there, right? Despite the chaos and the noise, I had made it to support my friend on their special day. And in the end, that's what really mattered. I finally made it to the ceremony, just as the music began to play. The soft melody filled the air, creating a serene atmosphere that contrasted sharply with my frantic rush to get there. The guests turned to stare, their faces a mixture of amusement and judgment. I could feel their eyes following my every move, making me even more self-conscious. I awkwardly squeezed past them, muttering apologies under my breath. Each step felt like an eternity as I tried to navigate the narrow rows without causing too much of a scene. My cousin, bless her heart, didn't even bat an eye when I reached my seat, completely out of breath. She was the epitome of grace and understanding, her calm demeanor a stark contrast to my flustered state. "You made it!" she whispered, her eyes sparkling with genuine happiness. Her smile was so warm and welcoming that it instantly put me at ease. "And you brought a pineapple?" she added, her tone a mix of surprise and amusement. I had completely forgotten about the pineapple in my hand, a last-minute gift that now seemed utterly ridiculous. I could only nod, too flustered to speak. My mind raced with thoughts of how absurd I must have looked, but her laughter soon broke through my embarrassment. She just laughed, that infectious laugh that could brighten even the most disastrous day. It was a sound that resonated with everyone around, lifting the mood instantly, and just like that, the stress of the day melted away. The tension in my shoulders eased and I found myself laughing along with her, the absurdity of the situation now a shared joke. It didn't matter that I was late, that my hair was a mess, or that I'd probably given the other guests a good laugh. In that moment, all that mattered was the joy and love that filled the room. I was there to celebrate with my cousin, and that's all that mattered. The laughter, the music, the shared glances, all of it made the day unforgettable. It was a reminder that sometimes the best moments come from the most unexpected situations. Section 7. The unprepared speech and roaring laughter. Now remember how I said my cousin's husband is along for the ride? Well, during the reception he was asked to give a toast. He froze, his face turning as white as the wedding cake. He stammered. "I didn't prepare anything." The crowd went silent. Then my cousin, ever the quick thinker, grabbed the microphone. "Don't worry, honey," she said, her eyes twinkling. "I'll do it for you." And with that, she launched into the most hilarious off-the-cuff speech about their relationship. She shared embarrassing stories, made fun of his terrible dance moves, and had the entire room roaring with laughter. By the end, even the groom was laughing, wiping tears from his eyes. Section 8. Dancing through the mishaps. The rest of the night was a blur of dancing, cake, and more laughter than I'd experienced in ages. We danced like fools, ate until we were stuffed, and celebrated the happy couple. The best part? No one even mentioned my late arrival, my friend's truck, or the giant ceramic pineapple that now held a place of honor on the gift table. It was perfect. Not perfect in the traditional sense, mind you, but perfect in its own chaotic, hilarious way. Section 9. Reflections on a day of laughter. As I drove home that night, my sides aching from laughing so hard, I realized something. Weddings aren't about perfection. They're about celebrating love, yes, but also about embracing the unexpected. The mishaps, the blunders, the moments that make you want to crawl under a table and hide, those are the moments you'll remember years later. Those are the stories you'll tell at every family gathering. My cousin's wedding may have been a comedy of errors, but it was also a reminder that sometimes the best things in life are messy, unplanned, and absolutely unforgettable. Section 10. A toast to imperfection. So, here's to the couples who aren't afraid to laugh at themselves, to the wedding days that don't go according to plan, and to the giant ceramic pineapples that remind us that life is always better with a little bit of humor. Cheers to that.